Hi, my name is Dan Houghton. I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino with a degree in chemistry in 1996. I work at the South Coast Air Quality Management District in Diamond Bar. I'm an air quality chemist there. I graduated in 1996 and I went to work at a place called Scott Specialty Gases in San Bernardino. A coworker was working there and asked if I needed a job, and I said yeah, and so I got a job there. So I got my first start in working in air. It wasn't really air quality chemistry. We made standards. Some of the same standards that we use here at the AQMD we created there. And so I got work on GCFID and GCTCD, different GC instrumentation. And then I went to work at a place called Watson Pharmaceuticals for about a year in the instrumentation department, working on all their instruments, before a position at the AQMD opened up, and I applied there with my background that I had from Scott Specialty Gases. I was able to get the job, and I've been here about 8 years since then. I work in an area called the Photo Assessment Monitoring System or Station. It's a federal program where we monitor ozone precursors in the air, and I run a station that is a remote station, not at our local site. And I go out there 2 times a week to take care of the instrumentation there. We have gases that are that have to be changed on the instrumentation. We do real-time sampling of the air through a GC system. We have a similar system here that we also use to sample canisters that are canistered or sampled at other locations. So I'll go out there, I'll change the gases around, make sure the instrument's running. It pulls a sample every 3 hours and then runs it on the GC, and I'll have to look at that data, make sure the data comes out all right. I do that about half the time. The other half of the time I'm here running the same instrumentation, running the samples that are collected at other stations and brought into here for sampling. My main job function is, one, to look at and review the data, to run the instrumentation, upkeep of the instrumentation to make sure that it's always in proper order, maintenance and whatnot. If they go down, then we have to fix them and get them working again. We look at the data, we review the data, we submit the data to our senior chemists. We also look at the data that other people create and make sure that it is accurate and that there's no problems with that. The first job related is the senior chemist position. That's like a lead chemist, not necessarily a supervisory role, but it is a lead chemist where they look at, review the data that the AQ chemists create, and where they also do more report writing and reviewing. There's also a principal AQ chemist, or principal air quality chemist, which is the supervisory position, and they have direct supervisory access over the senior and AQ chemists, and they review the reports and do the final submittal of the data to the management and the other staff here, as well as time off and work assignments and whatnot. There's a couple other positions too that are not in the lab, but they're kind of related. There's an AQ specialist where they do like review of technology, or they look at other, they're not in the lab doing necessarily sample analysis, but they'll look at technology that's available and how could that be used to lower emissions in factories or in other areas. They look at all kinds of things. It's a pretty diverse area. A lot of engineers are in there, but there are some chemists that we've had that were in the lab that do that. As well as we have AQ air quality inspectors who actually go out to the different facilities and inspect them, dry cleaners, refineries. If people in the public have a odor issue, they can call our 1-800-CUT-SMOG number, and the inspectors can go out and do a little inspection and see if they can figure out where the odor may be coming from as well. And there's also air quality instrument specialists who go out in the field and work on the instruments in the field. That we have real-time samplers in the field that look at ozone, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide, and they take care of those instruments, make sure they're running and are calibrated. I think the most interesting part of my job is actually reviewing the air data and trying to determine, why did we have a high value of such and such number on this day? And being able to go back and look at it. We'll look at some of the meteorology data and say, oh, how was the wind blowing? Look at some of the businesses around that area. Oh, what's near there? What could be causing this? And really kind of getting into the problems and really trying to solve them. But it is fun to go and look at and try and come up with hypothetical situations where we think, hey, why was the Freon higher on this day? What was going on? For me right now, the most unexpected part of my job is the travel to the remote stations that we have every time I've worked in the lab before, I haven't had to really go out and do any traveling. And so now 2 days a week, I'm on the road driving out to another station where we have other instrumentation set up, or a little remote lab. And so that was really kind of unexpected, nothing that I would have thought in school that I would be doing. CSUSB prepared me for my career by giving me, first of all, the technical information that I need and the technical knowledge to run the instruments that I am a part of. We had good teachers that helped us with the theory and knowing how to run all the instrumentation that we run. And they really helped with the teamwork aspect as far as working together in the laboratory and working with other partners in our lab classes and getting to know to work with other people. Because a lot of what we do is we're working with other people. We're not on our own, just one person here working on a problem. There's other parts of that team. And CSUSB really helped out in working with that, how to work with other people, especially in a lab situation where a lot of people have their own ways of doing stuff and things that they want to do, and you really have to know how to compromise and how to work other people's theories and ideas into it. And they were a big help in that area. The main thing that I've learned about my field and my position that I wish I'd known before I started, and this really goes back to when I got the job, was we had to take a test to get this position. And the test was very difficult and it was very broad. There was a lot of different instrumentation on the test that we had to know a lot of details about. So if I was going to give one person a piece of advice who wanted to go to work at the AQMD, it would be get a book on instrumentation that talks about GC, HPLC, IC, ICPMS, any kind of instrumentation that you want, and really study it and look at it and know all the finer details of how to run and adjust and get samples off of the instrumentation. I chose air quality chemistry specifically, and it wasn't really something that when I graduated college, like, I want to go into air quality chemistry. But my friend was working at Scotch Specialty Gases, and I hadn't had a job yet after I graduated. He called me up and asked if I wanted a job, and I was like, sure, yeah, I need a job. So I went and worked there, and as I was working there, I realized, I really like working with air samples, and we did compressed gas samples and doing the chemistry and running the GCs. And then when the position opened up at AQMD, I looked at the job requirements and what was going to be done. I thought, well, that really sounds interesting. It sounds like something that I would enjoy. Plus, it's working for the good of the environment, which is something else that is, helps bring a little bit of joy into our job. And so that's really how I found my way into it. I think some good advice for current students who are maybe not necessarily sure where they would want to, what position they would want, or what industry they'd want to work in, is go visit some labs. If you know somebody who works at here or any other lab, or even if you don't know, just look one of us up in the phone book and give us a call and say, hey, I'd like to come in and tour your lab. We'd be more than happy to have you come in and we could show you around what we do. Really get in there, more than just seeing on the internet or on TV or talking to somebody. You can get in the lab and look. If you know somebody who works in a pharmaceutical lab or our research and development lab, but it's really a good idea to get in there and see what they're doing, and you get more of an idea of what's going on by seeing it firsthand. A lot of our current chemists started off working here as an internship for 6 months, and then when they found about the position, they all had an advantage for taking the test because they'd already been working here and knew some of the answers to the questions that would be asked, as well as they knew what kind of work would be expected and how to do that. And that's definitely a very good idea. Yeah, I agree. It's very difficult right now to find a job. There's a lot of competition out there. Just be prepared. Know what job you're going for. When they put out a job bulletin, they have a listing of all the requirements that are needed for that job. Read that, review that, know what they're looking for, what kind of skills and sets of information that they need, what kind of instrumentation you're going to be working on, or just what kind of stuff they're going to be expecting to do, because they're going to be asking questions about that in the interview, and they're going to want to know what experience you have that directly relates to what they're doing there. And if you know what they're doing, and maybe you haven't had directly that experience, but you've had experience similar, you can relate that to that experience together that much easier. And so just really know what kind of job you're looking for. Really know what you're applying for and how to relate your experience to that. And just be open and available for anything. Sometimes you have to take maybe a job that maybe doesn't interest you as much, but it will get you some experience, and then you can move on to another job that interests you more.